Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on another fine firearm from B&T. Well, it's B&T and Haenel, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sure somebody that speaks German can probably correct me and say, hey, you're a stupid American and don't know how to pronounce the name of that company. But I think it's Haenel. So excuse me if I am wrong, but this is the CR223 or BT-15. And this is a really interesting gun from a historical perspective because this is the gun that beat the HK416 to replace the G36 in the German military. So how cool is that? Now, it is my understanding that since that contract was awarded, it has been rescinded due to a lawsuit from HK. But even though HK hates us and won't import a really nice 416 clone, well, B&T does provide that service to us in importing this CR223 or BT-15. So this is a piston-driven AR-15 pistol, and yes, this is a pistol. It is imported as such, so it has the SB tactical brace here in the back. I do know a lot of people SBR this. So this is just a really, really cool gun. So before I get into talking about all the things that I like and don't like about this particular gun and show you some shooting footage, I want to thank all the people that make these videos possible. First and foremost, D, who lent this particular pistol to the channel. He only wants me to use his first initial, and he has one amazing collection of very fine firearms. So thank you, D, for letting me borrow this. I'm honored and humbled that you trust me with it. I want to thank my Patreons as always. They keep the lights on around here. They help provide me with a little bit of monthly income for the upkeep of the channel from SD cards and cameras and ammunition. And speaking of ammunition, the primary sponsor for my video that helps me get most of the ammunition for all of these range reports is, of course, Brownworks. Brownworks, if you don't know, is a company that makes custom wood grips for a wide variety of firearms. I've talked about them in every range report the past couple of months. Mark over there is a huge supporter here at the Texas Gun Vault, and I'm humbled by his support. I know that I'm rolling in some pictures of his fine work, and many of the viewers that have contacted me that have bought grips from him due to these advertisements have been super happy. He can make grips for a wide variety of firearms, finish them a number of different ways, and what's really cool about his service is he can put on custom logos. He can make grips that will turn your regular firearms into something that is heirloom quality, and he is also providing a new service of laser engraving MSR magazines, Modern Sporting Rifle magazines. As you see here, I have a Texas Gun Vault emblazoned PMag. So if you're interested in getting one of these, well, I guess if you want a Texas Gun Vault logo, you can. But if you have a specialty logo or a special image that you want on a PMag, go over to his website, and I'm sure he can also do it to the AK-47 mags as well. He has a lot of stuff on his website, and there's something there you don't see and want to know about, contact Mark, tell him the Texas Gun Vault sent you, and I guarantee you he'll hook you up. And you guys can also use a discount code, which I'm going to pin in the description and the comment section to get 10% off your first purchase. So please go over and check out Brownworks and thank him for supporting the Texas Gun Vault. All right, so let's dive into this range report. We got the BT-15 or the CR223. Well, let's talk about the things that I like about this first. I always like to start off with the positive. And first off, this is a B&T, and you guys know I love everything B&T. Their quality is just off the chart. I'm not really sure how they manufacture these guns to such a precise degree. When you hold this thing, you definitely feel that a lot of time went into the manufacturing and the milling of these guns. The finish on them is spectacular. The fit is amazing. It just looks so nice, and you can tell it is so well built. And that is just every B&T product across the board. I have never held a B&T gun that I didn't walk away from going, wow, you just can tell the quality in that particular firearm. So I absolutely love that. Also, being an AR-15 style of gun, the manual of arms. I think the AR-15 is just one of the most intuitive firearms that you can use, but they have also incorporated a ton of ambi controls for the magazine release and the bolt catch on both sides. So depending on your style, how you like to load and charge the weapon, or if you're right or left-handed, you get a ton of options there. I will say the ambi controls, especially the bolt catch on this side, is a little bit on the tough side to press. Not from an ergonomic standpoint, it just takes a lot of pressure, it just takes a little bit of getting used to, but the fact that this gun is completely ambi, I think is a huge plus, but it's not perfect, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in this review. I also like the fact of its history. I've already told you this beat out the HK416. You guys know that I'm a complete nerd when it comes to collecting guns, and I like guns that have some type of historical significance or mechanical interest. And this gun also has a mechanical interest in that it is a piston-driven gun. It does not use the direct gas impingement system. So as you guys can see, this is a really cool AR-15 style rifle, but it is not an AR-15. This is not a gun that you can go out and just build from parts. It has a lot of proprietary things on it. You can even see how the upper receiver is milled. It is very different than your standard AR. It is a very attractive gun, and there's so many things about it that I like from just holding it here on the table. Now, there are a few things, however, that I don't like. And the first thing I noticed when I first held it, and that is the weight. This is a very heavy AR-15 pistol. Yes, it has the piston system, and it is high quality, and even has a lot of optics on it right now. This is just the way that D has outfit his pistol. It's just really heavy. One of the things that really sold the military originally on any type of AR platform is the fact that it was so light. And it is one of those things that I think that over time we have deviated from Eugene Stoner's original concept of what the rifle was supposed to be, which was a light infantry weapon, because as the saying goes in the military, ounces can become pounds. And this gun is heavy. I just don't want to carry it around. It's not that it's bulky, it just weights you down. And I'm not even a soldier, and I'm not out in the field running around. Just holding it here, it's like, man, this is just a heavy gun. So I don't know what you can do about lightening it up but still keeping the same quality. I'm not really sure why it's so heavy. As I said, maybe it's just the barrel profile, but looking through this handguard, it looks like it's a pretty thin profile, a pencil barrel. You do have that gas system. I'm not really sure. It is just a pretty heavy firearm. There are two other issues that I have with this particular gun. One is the magazine well. It really does seem like this magazine is in here very loose, more loose than what you would expect. Now, you do want your magazines to drop free, but I can tell you when this bolt is held back especially, there is a lot of wobble in there. Now, I own a lot of AR-15s, and some people are gonna say, oh, that's the way they're supposed to be. And yes, you don't want them too tight. But even when the bolt's closed, you just go, wow, that is a really wobbly magazine. I'm not sure if that's just out of spec or the way it's designed to help you strip that magazine. I have no idea. And then lastly, the trigger pins. I know that's a weird thing to say you don't like. Well, D, who owns this gun, as I mentioned, brought this to my attention. You cannot replace the internals firing control group of this gun with a standard AR group because the pin size is different. This is a lot larger pin than your standard AR-15. Why they did that, I don't know. It looks like the dimensions are the same. The AR controls and hammer and all that stuff is the same, but those pin sizes are different. So you don't really have any options if you want to upgrade the trigger. Now, personally, I think the trigger here is pretty nice, and I like to keep my B&T guns all stock. But if that's something that would concern you or something that you would want to do, you might not like that about this particular firearm. But that's what I like and don't like from just handling it here in the garage. Well, let's get this thing to the range. Let's shoot this. I'm really anxious to fire this because, as I said, it's a piston-driven AR. I'm curious what the recoil impulse is going to be. Is it reliable? Is it accurate? Well, I'm going to set the target first just at 10 yards just to see if the gun runs, what it feels like, and how the trigger is. All right, so I noticed a couple things from shooting this. First off, it recoils kind of heavy. I'm really surprised. ARs are supposed to shoot really light. I kind of feel like this gun kind of flips a little bit. I guess maybe the mass of the bolt carrier or the way that the piston is designed, it just has a little bit more recoil than I was expecting from an AR pattern gun. Is it a deal breaker? Absolutely not. It's just not ideal in my personal opinion. Now, when it comes to the trigger, I actually like it. I know some people have complained about it, saying it's a little bit too heavy. I can tell you from my personal standpoint, as a mil-spec trigger, it's pretty nice. I like it. Yeah, it's a little bit on the heavy side, but I like how that reset is really strong. For me, it feels really good with no take up or creep. I personally like it, and I wouldn't change it out, but some people say that they want to, and as I've already mentioned, you got that issue with the pins. I also have to say the gun is pretty accurate, and yes, it's shooting a little bit low. It's just the way that this aim point currently is zeroed. When it comes to reviewing guns, typically I don't want to mess with the zero or the optics of any gun that is linked to the channel because I don't want to screw around with their optics or any settings that they personally have. So I think this gun is shooting a little bit low. It's not the gun's fault, but the grouping is good. It's just where the optic, or in this case an EOTech, is just set up to shoot, and that's just the way it is. But the grouping is good. The gun seems to function great. So I'm pretty happy with it so far. It's just a little bit heavy and recoils a little bit heavy. Well, I'm now going to set the target out at 25 yards, see how this group opens up. And yes, it's only a 25-yard range. Some people say, you got to get yourself out to a 100-yard range. Well, when I film at like 10 o'clock at night when the range is empty, well, this is the only option I have is to use the pistol range. So sorry, 25 yards is about as good as I can do. So I'm going to use the magnifier here that Dee provided me, this EOTech G33. I'm going to set the target out at 25 yards, go for the head on this target, and just see how much the group opens up and maybe how good or bad of a shot I am. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that group. The gun is shooting great, very reliable, no hiccups whatsoever. But now I'm starting to realize how heavy this gun is. I've already mentioned it in the opening of this video. Now that I'm trying to hold it steady, shoot longer distances, I start to realize, man, this is a heavy gun. And I think the balance of it is a little bit front heavy, a little bit more front heavy than what I would want. Now, if you added a suppressor to this, it would get even more heavy in the front. So I think running it unsuppressed right now is kind of the way to go. It's just a little bit tiring. I know, maybe I'm a wimp. It's just a heavy pistol. I don't have a scale out here. I probably should look up those specs, but as I said, the weight is still the biggest attraction from this. All right, so now I want to give my wife Becky a shot. I'm always curious what she has to say about any gun that comes through the Texas Gun Vault. She knows how much I love B&T. She loves my APC and GHM9, but she's never shot a B&T firearm chambered in 5.56. So let's see what she thinks. All right, so she liked it and it was pretty accurate for her, but she also commented on how heavy the gun is, but she also had an issue that I didn't have, and that is the ambi controls here are a little bit too low. It was rubbing on her finger. I know that when it comes to mini rifles, they'll have a longer safety selector switch on the left-hand side, and on the right hand, they will shorten that since most shooters are going to be right-handed, but they didn't do that here, and it rubbed on her finger. So she was holding the grip a little bit lower than what she normally does, and she felt that was a little bit uncomfortable just because that was digging into her finger. I didn't have that issue, but she did, and I wanted to document her experience. I also want to say that when I filmed that video and was standing behind her, I was extremely surprised by the concussion of this pistol. She had mentioned it to me when she was filming me shooting, but from standing behind the gun, I didn't notice it that much more than your standard 10.5-inch AR-15. But man, does this thing have a concussion. This thing is loud. So is that because of the piston system? I don't know. It is a 10.5-inch barrel. They're usually really loud. And D has put on a flash hider here, and it's for one of those QD systems, and I don't have a suppressor that would fit it, so I couldn't run a suppressor on it on this range trip, but it is just really loud. Usually the muzzle brakes are loud, but this flash hider was loud, but I don't know if it's the gun or whatever. This is a very, very loud firearm. So if you're sensitive to that and are not going to run this suppressed, well, maybe you want to look into a different option. So maybe somebody else in the comments can tell me why it is so loud. I don't have a lot of experience with piston-driven ARs. I know sometimes they can be a little bit fidgety, the guns run different, they feel different, and they sound different. I guess I just like the direct impingement system. It's worked for 60 or 70 years, and it's just what I'm used to. But I have an open mind and am willing to take a look at these piston systems because I know technology and firearms development has to go somewhere and grow. We can't remain stagnant. All right, so the next thing I want to do is just simply a mag dump. When I've looked at the reviews online, a lot of people talk about the trigger. I've already alluded to that a number of times. I actually like it, and I think I can shoot this thing pretty fast. So I know everyone likes to see guns being shot fast, so I'm just going to do the obligatory mag dump. So here you go. All right, so I can definitely shoot this gun really fast. I like the trigger in it. I don't want to change it at all if this was my particular gun. So D, take that for what it's worth. I know you're going to watch this video. All right, so I want to do one more test, and this is what I refer to as the defensive use. And remember, guys, I'm a gun collector and not a competitive shooter. This test is just to see if me, as an average gun guy, can shoot this gun fast, do a quick magazine change, get the gun back in action, and shoot fast again. That is all that it is. It's just more for me having fun and recording it on camera, because who doesn't like to shoot an AR-15 really fast, especially one that is this high of quality. Well, this also is going to give me a chance to work on these ambi controls. The one thing I have noticed when it comes to the ambi controls that I don't like is the bolt catch. So when the bolt is held back, if I use the standard ping pong paddle on the left-hand side, it works as usual. I don't need to push it down with a lot of pressure, and the bolt closes like it should. However, when it comes to the ambi control on the right-hand side, I have to push this button in quite a lot more. And that would definitely slow me down. A lot of pressure is needed to activate that. So I'm not sure if that's the way it is across all the guns that are made from B&T and Haenel. I have no idea, or is it part of the mechanism? I don't think I would use that bolt catch the way it's designed as much, and I don't know if there's any way to make it a little bit easier to push. It's a very, very, very minor and small gripe. I like how ergonomic it is. I like the placement of it. It just takes a lot more pressure than the one on the left-hand side. All right, so let's see how fast I can do this magazine change and dump some more rounds downrange. All right, so I am really impressed with myself. In fact, I even cut that and put it over on the Texas Gun Vault 2, that little shooting portion. I was pretty proud of that. I kind of look like a tactical operator when I know that I'm not. So what are my final thoughts when it comes to this Haenel B&T BT-15 or CR223? Well, it just oozes quality, and I would expect nothing less from B&T. As I mentioned, you hold it, you look at it, you shoot it. It is just quality off the chart, like all other B&T guns. Now, when it comes to my interest in this, I am very interested in it from the historical and mechanical standpoint. However, from a shooting standpoint, I just can't stand the weight. This gun is actually pretty tiring to shoot. Holding it, it's heavy. Shooting it, it has more recoil than your standard AR-15, and it takes a little bit of the enjoyment away. Now, I was really surprised when it came to shooting this gun fast, and maybe I should show you this portion again. When I did that mag dump, take a look at the recoil of this particular rifle, and you're going to notice I have a hard time keeping it on target when I'm shooting it fast. So there you go. It's the weight and the recoil. So, am I interested in this gun? Yes. Is it one that I'm going to go out and immediately purchase? Probably not. I can tell you what I would really want to see. I would love to see one of these guns manufactured exactly the same way. I would like to see for them deal with the weight issue, get that weight down. But then I'm going to throw a curveball here, because what I want them to do to it is actually going to add more weight. So I know I want one thing and I'm asking for another. Is I would really like a longer barreled version of this. I'd like to see this thing at 14.5 inches or 16 inches. I kind of feel at 10.5 inches, the concussion and the report of this gun is just way too much. Now, I understand the military probably wants the shortest assault rifle they can possibly get. But for me, as a casual gun owner and shooter, having that little bit longer barrel is going to dampen that, what I think is the recoil and the report of the gun, just enough to really make this a fine firearm. It's just honestly a little bit on the short side. But when you add that much more weight in the front, the gun's just going to get heavier. So I'm not really sure what to do. But it is still a over-the-top, high-quality, reliable, beautiful firearm. I mean, come on, look at this thing. It is just one sexy looking firearm. Look at that. That thing is just gorgeous, isn't it? Just wow. Just absolutely beautiful. So, on my star system, how would I rate the BT-15? Well, I'm probably going to rank this one a little bit lower than I have any other B&T gun, and I'm only going to give this 4 out of 5 stars. I want the barrel to be longer, I want the gun to be lighter, but the quality is off the chart. And I also think for the price point, which by the way, it is a very expensive gun, but compared to the HK counterparts and all the things you would have to do buying an MR223 to really convert it into something that would be a more proper 416 clone, I think you get a good deal on it. And some people, the price of this is going to be the big deal breaker, but I do think you get a good value for your dollar. But for me, I would have to pass on it right now until I see if they come out with different variants. But I do like it, and it could be one of those things where I pass on it now, they don't import it anymore, and literally in 10 years, this thing is a $10,000 firearm, and then I kick myself in the butt and go, why in the world did I not buy it when I could have? But there you go. That's my thoughts and opinions on the Haenel CR223 or the B&T BT-15. Thank you, Dee, for letting me borrow this gun. I hope you guys learned something from it and enjoyed me documenting my experiences with it. And I hope all you B&T fans out there enjoyed the Range Report in general. Great gun, super high quality, but only 4 out of 5 stars. It just needs to be a little bit lighter. So, love it or hate it, that's my personal thoughts and opinions. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.